Subreports. We're going to go in and create a subreport. There's various methodologies for creating subreports. My boss requires that we do this so that they work. So this is the way that we produce them out. So what I have here is, this is that basic template that we created earlier. So this is right out of the template file, and then I've just got a little matrix down in here, and I've added a data set, product category name, and if I can, I'll show you that data set. Again, I'll be popping back and forth. Oh, I don't have it open. Just a second, let me open it. Okay, here's the query that we're using. The only thing I'm really interested in here is the product category key, or I'm sorry, name. So I took off a dimension product, just a second, dimension product category name, and then I needed to join these together. So I took the product subcategory key, and I need that to do a join into the sales amount fact table. So if I drilled on down, sales amount, everything I'm returning down here is sales amount, and I just want to run that query down here, and then I save the query. Athena Group Retail Data Warehouse 2012 sales by product category name. Didn't mention the rest of this. The only thing we're going to use is the product category name, which we're going to pass in as a parameter a little bit later on, then the sales amount. So let's close that. We don't need it anymore, and we've operated this so we can see it. Let's go ahead through, and I'm going to pause while it runs. Okay, and you see it running, and nothing really fascinating in here. We just have the category names and the sum of the amount of the sales. So now I'm going to save that report, and then I saved it as sales by product category name, and then I'm going to modify the report. I saved it so I can always get back to it. And then I'm going to go in and add a parameter. Let me open that up. Okay, we're going to create a parameterized report here, which I've already created for you. This is the exact same report, but I've come in and we're going to create a parameter here that we can pass into the report. Again, this is the report that we're going to use as a sub-report. So now this is version 2, and I saved it as product category name. First off, let me show you the query that I'm using to populate the parameter. And we'll see if we can find that. Here we go. And this is very simple. This is just, again, off the data warehouse, and off the dimension product category name, and run it, test it, and I bring back the product categories that I'm going to use. So let's drop that out. And now what I have down here is, you can see that it worked. I have two data sets, right, based on what we just showed you, and the other one's based on the first one that we showed you in here. Then I went in and I created a parameter. So I just went in and I added a parameter, category names. Let me show you the properties. General, category names, just so something that I could remember. Prompt, choose the category, which will show you its value as a text. Available values, I'm bringing off of a data set, category names. And then I picked the product category name, which is the only field returned, and the product category name also. I could set up a default value, but I'm going to say no, and then the advanced have to do with caching, which beyond the scope of this course. So category names, and we're going to say OK. Now down here in the tablets, I'm going to right click the tablets and go into tablets properties. Tablets name 6, clever, whatever. Data set name is what it's driving off of. Now we come in and take a look at the filters, and I add a filter. This report has the data pumped into it. These individual data regions can be driven off of different data sets. That's why I needed to come in here and change the properties. So down here on my filter, I added a filter, an expression, product category name, off the data set that's bound into the matrix, equals, and then I set a value operator up to down here into my parameters, which is categories, names, values. Okay, so this parameter is going to retrieve the values from that category name, pass that into this data set down in here. Well, it's actually going to pass it into the matrix, and the matrix is going to wait for me to make a selection. Let's run it again. Now it'll come up very quickly. You see this choose the category, and we'll choose TV and video, and now we'll view report. Okay, so now you see my parameterized report running down in here, and again I'm going to use this as a sub-report. Now I did pause this. This took about 30 seconds to run. So go back over to design view. Okay, I downloaded the base report off of the template that I had down here, and first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to insert a sub-report. So let's make life easy. Here's my sub-report. Just locate it up in here, you know, resize it and all the usual baloney, just so I can see it. I'm going to go into Subreport properties, and now I would give it a name. Subreport 1 sounds fine, I don't care. And now I'm going to browse into. The first thing we're going to bring down is that Subreport, if I can find it. Here's Subreport base without, I want to do it without the parameters just to make sure that it works. I'm going to bring it down, I'm going to say OK, and we'll run it. I'll pause. Okay, you can see it ran and it populated this report. You know, we know this is pretty ugly. What we're just trying to show you is that it actually ran. Let's go back over to design view. Okay, now what I've done is I've just created a new base report rather than bringing down the template. And what I did in here is I want to run a sub report, but I'm going to run the sales report now that has the parameter passed through to it. So again, what I did was I added the data set that just returns those product category names. Then I added a parameter and I matched the name category names to the parameter that this sub report is expecting. And I knew that because, I wonder if I still have that open. I don't. All right, whatever. All right, I knew that because I paid attention when we were in there. Just a second, let me see if I can open that and show it to you. And find that little son of a gun. All right, here's my sub report, and that's that category names and that data set. That's what's really, that's this one down here, category names. That's what's really important. So now, back to getting a parameterized sub report to work. So I added the data set that I want to draw the parameter off of. I added a parameter named categories names, and I set its properties equal to the data set product category name again. And I'll say OK on this. And now in the parameter, in the properties of the sub report. So there's the general sub report name. Use this report as a sub report, all the standard baloney, and you can omit the border or not. And what you'll do is you'll omit it and then don't omit it and omit it and see what you like. Parameters, I added a parameter, and when I pulled down my list, the category names was over here equals the parameter at, I'm sorry, I entered a prompt, equals at category names, and I said okay. Now we're going to execute this report and see if a parameterized sub report works. Now I'm going to select the property, computers, view report, pause. Okay, so you see the sub report ran and computers, and it brought back the computers. So back over to design. Now at this point, you can come through and you can add other things to your main report. I tend, like I said, to go through and to create the sub reports and get them working first. Then I'll create the sub report and a parameter, and then I add them into the base report. Now I get down here and, for example, we'll go over to the insert, we'll go into report parts, and we'll search for all the report parts that we've saved up in there. And now I can bring back any of these report parts that I want. Let me find one here, something interesting. And this will take forever to run because it's just too big. Oh, we can go ahead and run it, and I'll pause it. Let me make sure that I didn't bury. Yeah, I did. The sub report, let me move that over. Let me move this over and run it, and I'll be back around an hour after it runs. Okay, again, this is fairly ugly, but here's my matrix, and here's my sub report over in here. Back over to design view.